need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Brett Kavanaugh is about to be on the hot seat. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Supreme Court nominee's confirmation hearing starts next hour. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley chairs the Judiciary Committee.
We've got more documents on this person than anybody else in the history of the Supreme Court nominees.
42,000 more pages were released last night, prompting Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to again call for a delay. Democrats are also upset documents from Kavanaugh's time as Bush administration staff secretary were not released. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, in excerpts released of his opening remarks, Judge Kavanaugh will say if confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court, he'll be part of a team of 9, committed to deciding cases according to the Constitution and laws of the United States. He will also say he doesn't decide cases based on personal or policy preferences, and that a good judge must be an umpire, a neutral and impartial arbiter. Democrats have been blasting a 2009 Law Review article in which Kavanaugh wrote criminal investigations should be deferred while a U.S. president is in office. Dave.
Rachel, they're doing storm prep along the Gulf Coast, getting ready for Gordon.
I'm just going for the safe part versus sorry.
He's filling sandbags in Long Beach, Mississippi.
The Hurricane Center is saying we're going to have a hurricane, a minimal hurricane as it makes landfall, somewhere perhaps around the Biloxi, Mississippi area, and then it lifts northward.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean says could come ashore tonight. 2 days before the NFL season starts, former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who started the lingering kneeling for the national anthem controversy, has a new endorsement deal with Nike. He'll even get his own clothing and shoe line. Some Kaepernick critics were angry online. S. Clancy79 on Twitter posted a video of him burning his Nike shoes.
Not only am I burning my favorite pair of Nikes, you are burning your sales. Have a good day.
The CEO for USA Gymnastics, Carrie Perry, has reportedly resigned in the fallout of the sexual abuse scandal involving Dr. Larry Nassar, who's in prison for life for molestation and child porn. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
At Dell, we know running a small business takes hard work. As a thank you, during the Dell annual sale, we're offering up to 40% off select PCs with Intel Core processors and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL. Special financing available to qualified business customers when using Dell Business Credit. Go to Dell.com/DBC promos for details.
I used to post to job boards.
Only to sort through tons of resumes.
Just to find a few candidates for
my sales team.
My hair salons.
That old process was not smart.
Then I went to ZipRecruiter.
Its technology scans resumes for me to find the right people.
And actively invites them to apply.
So I get qualified candidates fast. Smart.
See why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. Try it now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Based on Trustpilot rating of hiring sites with over 1,000 reviews.
Keeping your kids away from foods they're allergic to is easy at home, but it's out of your hands when they're off to school each day. Luckily, Jersey school districts are required to have a policy on life-threatening allergies and a plan in place for emergency situations.
The idea is that you build awareness of all the people that interact with the student. You help the family train the student to self-manage their food allergy.
Janet Bamford with the New Jersey School Boards Association says schools are not advised to implement nut-free environments because they can't guarantee a child won't be exposed. Add 2 more federal lawsuits to the growing list of sexual assault actions taken against Stockton University, now up to 7 recently reported incidents at the South Jersey school. One suit alleges the college tried to talk a woman out of filing charges. 2 people dead over the weekend in a car crash in Atlantic City. Details have been slow to emerge, but this happened in broad daylight right around noontime Sunday. County and city authorities investigated. As far as we know, the victims' names haven't been released. I'm Patrick Lavery. This is the Town Square News Network.
It commutes with you every morning and evening. Every drive down the shore. Every after-school practice. Every family road trip. Every errand and every exit on the turnpike of life. That's just how it rolls. Your car isn't just a car. And this isn't just insurance. It's NJM. We're here to help make every moment extraordinary and protect what's important. Get your quote now at njm.com.
A heat advisory in effect for all but far northern and far southern New Jersey today. The heat index or feels-like temperature may approach the triple digits during the heat of the day. Mostly sunny. Thermometers 90 to 95 degrees this afternoon, 80s along the coast. A few clouds tonight, probably some fog with lows only falling to the lower to mid-70s. That's going to be pretty sticky. Partly sunny tomorrow, maybe a spot shower or thunderstorm at some point. Highs upper 80s to lower 90s. Back into the 90s on Thursday as we go from sun to clouds. Scattered thunderstorms arrive late day Thursday. I'm meteorologist Dan Zero.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPGG Talk Radio 104.1.
Chuck Malamut is here. Chuck is the managing director, leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. To reach Chuck, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. Each Tuesday morning, I know it feels like Monday, but it is Tuesday morning in the 8 o'clock hour. This program is sponsored by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed are those of Chuck, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck, happy September.
Harry, good morning, Kirk. Good morning.
Labor Day's over. Can you believe it, Chuck?
No, actually, no. The summer just flew by.
I know you even work hard on the weekends, so it really doesn't matter.
No, I did not work terribly hard this weekend. I will admit to you, Harry, but it was.
But you did work this weekend.
Just a little bit, yeah. Well, Monday was a work day.
I know.
Monday was a day of labor.
Yes.
So it's no matter how you look at it, but yeah, I think Atlantic City, Ocean City, Wildwood, Cape May. I can't imagine. I would just love to see the summer results. I would imagine everyone seems to be relatively pleased with
the weather hung in there too.
Strange weekend, yeah. I mean, so you think about it. What, Saturday?
Once again, the weather forecast was much worse than the actual weather.
About a week out, it was like a 60 to 70% chance of rain every day.
Yep.
For the entire day. And as it turned out, what Saturday was a little overcast, late afternoon, sun came out. Really a nice night Saturday night. Sunday was magnificent. Monday was even better.
You know, we'll never know because you can't forecast what you can't see. And it was still a very, very busy summer. But can you imagine at two levels? Number one, the weather was not great, and particularly weekend weather was really bad. I don't remember many really good weekends, which you would call beach-type weather weekends, the entire summer. But then you had the worst forecasts. They should all just be gathered up and fired because they're terrible. I've never seen an industry that's allowed to be so wrong about everything. Now, in fairness, it's Mother Nature driving the bus, but the reports, the forecasts have been worse than the weather.
Yes, they have. But if you look, for instance, at the summer weekly rentals. In and out on Saturdays. I mean, they're paid for well in advance, and if you're committed, you're committed. So you might sit in a rental for 3 days of rain, but
you have to figure that there would be a lot of people that would think, "Hey, let's go to Atlantic City. It's going to be great. Oh my gosh, look at that weather forecast. Forget about it." That had to happen a lot.
Well, yeah, but if you look at, I think the casino traffic's obviously a little bit different than quote the traditional shore traffic. Let's go to the beach, and, go out on the boat or whatever maybe, but. I always thought about when you have your weekly rentals, particularly in Ocean City, Saturday to Saturday, how do you handle Labor Day weekend? Is that a one-off where it's the weekend is part of the 7 days? Is it an extension, or you have to get out on Saturday and people come in on Saturday, Sunday, depart Monday? I just really never thought about that until basically this weekend, because I think. The traffic on the boardwalk, from what indications I've been given, it was busy.
Yeah.
Particularly Sunday and yesterday until the latter part of the day, which you would expect.
Good.
And everybody headed out of town, but I didn't hear any of major backups on the Parkway. heading out, which is good.
But I'll bet you it was. I mean, Margie and I went to Cape May just a few weeks ago, and that was just a busy weekend, and the traffic was unbelievable.
Well, I think people got an early start too.
There you
know,
go.
But look, bottom line, all in all, I think everyone had to be very, very happy with what had transpired this summer. And as we get into the fall, now a lot of the shore communities run special weekends, through the end of September. Your point, I think, is very well taken when you spoke about Miss America. I find it very hard to believe that with all the turmoil that is surrounding that organization at this point in time, the CRDA would be willing to to put up money for him at this point in time. But I could be dead wrong.
I don't know which way it's going to go either, Chuck. I think if nothing had been brewing by way of controversy, I don't know if it was going to stay. It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and there is obviously some positive results. You spend a fair amount of time on the boardwalk and broadcasting. The show would take like 4 hours, I would think, somewhere in that range.
I'm gonna miss it so much if it leaves. I do remember the feeling of when it left the last time, and then Governor Guadagno was a big impetus behind putting the money together to bring Miss America back. But I think, and you can appreciate this as the best financial advisor that I know, this is numbers. That's all it is.
It's nothing but a P&L at the end of the day. And you think about the cost to run it, the cost to run Boardwalk Hall, the expense to open and run. The building's obviously open, but to run that building, to fairly empty crowds, I think during the week, and then Saturday night is obviously Saturday night or Sunday night. It's Chuck, a Sunday night now, right?
It's Sunday night with the parade on Saturday night that we'll be at. And you remember this when we were in the business. We committed a certain number of hotel rooms.
Yeah, and hotel and room food, beverage. Yeah. Not that the contestants drank, but those were saleable hotel rooms. Mm-hmm. But look, you keep your fingers crossed that it will continue in Atlantic City. It is for the most part, an event that's been here for many, many years. I remember as a kid.
But the challenge is it's a subsidized event.
It is subsidized.
And how long can that continue? I don't think very much longer. And then if you did a P&L on it, for example, the air show, we know 27 plus million in direct spend, 33 plus million in overall spending. You know exactly what that return, and you can do a P&L on that. And I think that the Miss America has always kind of relied on intrinsic value, sentimental value. I'm one of them. I love it. I'm going to be brokenhearted if it leaves. But if you just only looked at a financial analysis of it, I don't know what the P&L looks like.
I don't think you'd be terribly satisfied. And as a business person, you would, in all likelihood, probably say, I think it's not in the best interest of the organization supporting that particular week in Atlantic City. But look, I hope I'm dead wrong. I really do. I would love for it to stay. Yeah. It does do a lot for Atlantic City. I think the problem this year is different in the fact that there is so much controversy, and it's real. You really shouldn't be airing your dirty laundry with this event this close in. It's not good because it's like anything else. Like, I know that you guys, and rightfully so, and we're talking about Nike. I was shocked when I saw the headline cross this morning, very Hurley, and my initial mindset was, well, what are they doing here? I guess, and I'm not going to talk about an individual stock. It's not the intention. You're going to talk about just marketing philosophy, marketing 101. Maybe they're trying to play both sides against the middle. Maybe they're trying to say, okay, we capture the left, we capture the right, we capture everybody. Everybody's happy. Everybody loves our product. We move on and we sell. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. There are a lot of very, very strong competitors out there that have product either as good or better. And I think this is not going to. I don't think it's going to end well.
I don't either. And I know you don't talk about one particular stock. I posted this on social media yesterday. When I found out about it, I wrote, "Open letter to Nike, ... Why?" Question mark. Didn't even have to put anything else. And I am so against this. To me, I reject even the philosophy that they're trying to capture left and right, because they already play to the left, but they were playing to a less objectionable left. They now pull out somebody that's a very polarizing individual that's worn pig socks with a police uniform on. It's, to me, very disrespectful to our country, to our flag, to police officers. And now this guy is the face, literally the face, of the 30th anniversary campaign. He will have his own clothing line and his own sneaker line. So to me, they've crossed the Rubicon.
The shame of it is, if you kind of walk it back a little bit, not too long ago, it seems like many years ago, Kaepernick was a very, very good quarterback.
Yes, and that's why he doesn't play anymore, because he's not.
And I think he kind of lost his way.
He made it
along
to
the way.
2 straight NFC championship games. He was good, but here's what I believe: and I love Tiger Woods, and Tiger Woods is back. When Tiger Woods' personal life blew up, so did his game.
It absolutely did.
And Kaepernick's personal shenanigans and activism and anti-Americanism and all that coincides with his game becoming. And he's very young. So it wasn't like he was good when he was young and his skills eroded and he lost a step. He had the same type of deal. And I'm a big believer in this. If your personal life is messed up, your professional life is going to be messed up.
When you take a look at it, you could be the world's greatest quarterback, but does an organization really want to pick you up and sign you with everything else that's surrounding you?
Correct. And by the way, that's not collusion. That's an individual decision that each organization can make. If the player's skills have eroded and you get all the problems, you know what they're going to be. It's going to be all kinds of problems. Then you analyze that and you say it's not worth it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, that's
a business decision.
It is a business. You can hire and fire. It's like any other business. And the fact of the matter is that right now Colin Kaepernick is just really not wanted anywhere. I guess the lack. I mean, it's the truth of the matter is.
Except at Nike.
Except at Nike, yes, Harry. Okay.
Face of the 30th campaign. We're going to take a brief time out, 17 minutes past the hour. When we come back, Chuck will share his market update, S&P earnings, NAFTA, U.S. consumer confidence. We'll talk about Argentina, emerging market volatility. I had a call from a listener over the weekend that heard supposedly that a recession is near. I haven't heard that from anybody credible. We'll talk about the fourth quarter. We'll talk about Medicare, Greece, rising home prices, yippee, mortgage late payments, not so good, and Ponzi update, Bernie Madoff, all that with Chuck Malamut in the next half hour straight ahead.
At Shore Medical Center, they go to extraordinary lengths to deliver the highest quality of care in a safe and compassionate environment. They are pleased to provide 6 centers of excellence specializing in cancer, cardiovascular, neurological, orthopedic, emergency, maternity, and pediatric health care. To find a doctor, schedule an appointment, or find more information on the many excellent services Shore Medical Center provides, visit shoremedicalcenter.org.
Congratulations to Shore Medical Center for being the only hospital in Atlantic and Cape May counties to earn an A rating for quality and safety by Leapfrog Group for Spring 2018. This is the 8th consecutive rating period in which Shore has earned this prestigious honor. Shore is proud of its physicians, nurses, and support staff who continue to provide the highest quality of care to the patients in our community. Find out more at shoremedicalcenter.org. Shore Medical Center, healthcare at its best.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Hi, it's Mark Levin. Join me at 6 this evening. Now back to the Mayor of the Morning, Harry Hurley, on WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
Chuck just looked at my sneakers and he said the same thing that others have said to me before. I can't even be insulted by what you said.
Well, Harry, I wasn't insulting you. I was just telling you.
No, I said I'm not insulting.
No, but if other people say that, then I'm just sort of in that crowd. That's all. I mean, so they can't be all wrong.
I don't think so. I still like my sneakers.
I'd say something here, but I'll wait to the break. I don't think it'd be terribly fair because I do want to walk in here with a good attitude.
Thank you, Chuck.
And continue. But let's talk about the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000. They all hit new highs last week. Hard to believe, month of August. In spite of the trade tensions, what's happening, we have obviously very, very strong data coming out of here, the U.S. Earnings growth, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And some optimism there might be some sort of agreement with respect to Brexit. But when you look...
Is a month of August typically, Chuck, a sleepy month?
It is. I mean, this was the best August we had, I think, in... I want to say at least... Don't hold me to this, but I'm saying at least 10 years. I mean, the Dow is up 2.6% and for the month. So year to date, it's up a little bit less than 7%. And all that was basically done in a quarter. I mean, a quarter we were up 7.6%. The S&P for the month was up 3.2%, up just shy of 10, and then the NASDAQ, the tech, laden indice, up 5.6% for the month. Year to date, up 18%. So now all of a sudden we get into September, and everybody's pointing the finger and saying, oh my goodness, September is just such an awful month. And look out below. So, we're already, the negative bias is out there, discussing how poorly things are going to be for the month of September. Now, I think when you kind of put it all together, the indices, yes, were up pre-market. Hurley this morning, as I left to come here this morning, they're now down a little bit. But, plus or minus 100 on the Dow, plus or minus 5 on the S&P is really not a big deal. So I think that everything that's happening right now is centered around, for the most part, trade, because where we are is that virtually all the S&P 500 companies have reported. 99. Actually, I take that back. 99% of the S&P 500 companies reported for Q2. Earnings increased by roughly 25% compared to the same quarter a year ago, and that was very similar to where we were in Q1. That's the fastest growth rate we've seen, Harry, in 8 years. Moreover, 80% of the S&P 500 companies beat analyst estimates this quarter. Revenues were up over 10% year over year versus the second quarter of last year. So you think about the momentum that we have going into the third quarter. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion now around the political scheme, I guess the best way to put it. I was trying to be nice about it, but the bottom line is that all eyes will continue to focus on Washington, because think about it, we're going to be in that quiet period now as we get as we get through the month of September. It'll take about 8 to 10 days into October before we report earnings. So third quarter earnings will be in the books and being reported, and most of those will have been reported right as we get to the first week of November.
Right before the election.
So it'll be, and I always take with a grain of salt your projection about the Fed and where the Fed's going to go. So I'm guessing your analysis or assumption or projection is going to be that they're going to raise.
Yes.
Maybe imagine them going 50 basis points right before the election.
They are capable of doing that.
Would you? I don't think you'd be terribly happy about that, would you?
The president will be tweeting about Powell if they do. No, I wouldn't be happy. I'm expecting 25 basis points. 50 would be just not even thinly disguised as political. It would be political. It would be to do what they've typically done. And I also predict the run-up to 2020 is going to be a doozy.
Oh, if there's any indication as to what we're seeing now, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you can't get out. It's like trying to get out of the way of a runaway freight train, and you can't. No matter where you are, it's everywhere. But the bottom line is, in spite of all that, the markets just continue to move on.
Yes.
And as a result of that, I think investors, if you're not happy with the results from August, and we don't like to focus on a particular month, and you really needed to take a real good look at what you own and why you own it. But when you talk about NAFTA last week, there was or the week before, I guess it was with Mexico, and now all of a sudden, U.S., Canada, and Mexico, they're kind of rushing to get this renegotiated NAFTA agreement.
You can see the president really put Canada, Prime Minister Trudeau,
in
had a really bad week.
Well, yeah, I mean it's so now they need to get
get on board or they're out.
Well, they need to get this done obviously before year end. Yeah. We reached an agreement with Mexico to amend the 1993 PAC. But final details in agreement with Canada, they still need to be worked out. I thought I saw somewhere that within 90 days they're going to have it done, but 90 days puts you right at the end line. But isn't that fairly typical of yes, politics anyway?
That's when things get done.
The EU said they could drop their auto tariffs if we do the same here. Although Trump has been sort of unreceptive to that overture, so.
Chuck, this is not a political question. It is a market-type question. Are the markets becoming more comfortable with what initially looked like a very unorthodox president regarding trade, that his policies that were much maligned, as many other things that have turned out very well, were in advance? He's getting results, it seems.
Well, think about it. I mean, President Trump, basically, I don't want to use a threaten, but he's taken a hard line.
Yeah.
And he said he's going to impose that $200 billion in tariffs on China as soon as this week. So, you sit there and you say, well, what is the impact going to be, to all of us as far as consumers are concerned, and what's going to be more expensive and what's not going to be more expensive? But you think about where he's going with this, and I don't want to say Mexico didn't, I don't want to say they rolled over, but, that was critical in putting sort of a jigsaw puzzle together. And think about, if this works, how much we will benefit by this over the next, not only year, but over the next decade plus.
I think it was really the art of the deal, a businessman turned president who saw that a new administration was coming in, get something done right as the old is out, the new is coming in, they want a deal, you get a deal, then you basically leak out to Canada. If you don't get in, you're out. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, and it's all going very well for the president at the moment.
It is. You wouldn't believe it, though. But all indications from the friendly media crowd, that's for sure. But in any case, yeah. I mean, it's. I don't want to make any predictions, but I think China's in a really, really tough spot right now because their economy, is faltering to a certain degree. And you think about the import-export. I mean, if you slap the tariffs on, who loses at the end of the day? I mean, China exports more than they import. We import more than we export. So I think, if you really haven't taken a hard look at it, I think you really should. And I think I think this is going to play out well, for all of us. If not, if it doesn't grow as we would like it to, then it could end up with a global slowdown. I don't want to use the R word, but it could in fact push us into a recession, and it's something that we desperately need to think about. And like it or not, the president has done a really, I think a really good job with everything that's been on his plate, and has put money into everyone's pockets
If you take
compared to where we were, say, 3 years ago.
You're very big about this. Take out emotion. Simply look at the numbers. People can lie about different things in a political context. I don't think the numbers lie. When you look at employment, when you look at the markets, the numbers tell the story.
Well, they don't lie. And one of the things we want to talk about is, U.S. Consumer confidence.
And we'll do that right after the break. That's a cliffhanger. 30 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut continues all about your financial matters. To reach Chuck, who is the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs.
WPG Talk Radio 104.1 is South Jersey's talk station and your dependable source for local information when you need it. Listen for South Jersey news updates every 30 minutes while you're at work, your local AccuWeather forecast around the clock, traffic updates every afternoon and all weekend long, and free unlimited local news at WPGTalkRadio.com. WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you. For nearly 40 years in the Ducktown section of Atlantic City at the corner of Arctic and Georgia Avenues, Angeloni's 2 Restaurant and Lounge has featured the finest Italian-American cuisine in Atlantic City, preparing all meals to order. Lunch is served Monday through Friday and dinner 7 nights a week. Mama Angeloni's has reigned supreme for many years, and Alan has been able to keep that going at $25 per person. It's a wide variety of fabulous 4-course dinner selections. This is for parties of 10 or less. If you're a group of more than 10, Alan will tailor something that you will absolutely love. Mama Angeloni's is now available on a cash-only basis. This is the merchant fees and the various rewards programs, exorbitant costs that are passed on to the restaurant owner. So Alan was able to keep the price at $25 rather than have to raise it $2, $3, or more per cover on a cash-only basis. Your credit cards are welcome for all other purchases.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Right before the break, and we're at 33 minutes past the hour, Chuck Malamut, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. Right before the break, Chuck was about to talk about consumer confidence.
So, Harry, one of the things we mentioned, a fantastic August, and I think a lot of that has to do with the consumer confidence that is being seen in our country. It's the highest level we've had, again, since October 2000, so that's 18 years. And a lot of that is because of a very, very strong labor market. The trade jitters that are out there really have not had a material impact on U.S. consumers. Spending remains very robust. Consumer spending was a solid contributor to last week's upward revision in U.S. second quarter GDP to 4.2% from an earlier 4.1% estimate. Imagine GDP at 4.2%.
Yippee! Hey, I can imagine it. I can even imagine it higher than that.
Is that considered the new norm?
Well, it's the new norm.
Or is that the norm?
It's the norm, which only has to be even talked about because a phony new norm was put in effect as cover.
Oh, I remember that, yes. But we won't talk about that anymore. How's that sound?
What did I say, though, Chuck, then?
I took a beating and went out to the woodshed, that's for sure.
But I said the next time we have a president and we have different policies and we go back to free market, we go back to capitalism, and we go back to what made America great, and that we always grew 3% for any given calendar year over every presidency except one. I said as soon as we change that, it's like the Heroes TV series, Save the Cheerleader, Save the World, change the president, and this would change. The new norm, I wrote about it at length, spoke about it at length. It was an entire scam. And a lot of people bought it, sadly.
They did, yeah. I mean, again, a lot of it was, broadcast by the media. The average person just looks at, sound bites or
it shows you the power of an echo chamber when you spout a lie enough and seemingly with credible people doing it, that you can make people believe, oh, that's a shame. We can't. Oh, you're right, though. We can't grow 3% anymore because things are just different. It's a new normal now that didn't exist before. No, it was an abnormal that was going on that needed to be excised.
Abnormal?
See, yeah.
So,
Young Frankenstein.
So let's move on from how good things are here to really how poorly things are in Argentina. I mean,
did you know there's a Paul Rotella connection to Argentina?
No, I did not.
This gives me an opportunity because I believe that the president of the New Jersey Broadcasters Association is listening to the program right now, and he's recuperating from a very successful
I did have an opportunity
surgery.
to talk to Paul last week, and he sounded like he was in very good spirits.
Paul worked in the embassy in Argentina.
Well, the good news is he's not there
we
now.
We didn't cry for him either.
No, but what happened, I mean, the government has asked, the IMF to speed up the release of $50 billion in bailout funds. As a result of that, the peso resumed its fall last week. The central bank, imagine, Harry, raising your short-term interest rates 15% to 60%, short-term money, and they vowed not to decrease them until December at the earliest in an effort to protect their dwindling currency. Now, as a result of all that, the weak peso is helping, fuel inflation, which is now running in excess of 30%. So how can you live in that environment? Now, if you had cash and you were living in Argentina and you had the ability to invest it, at 60%, I think that's obviously a good thing. But I think for the most part, that's probably not the case in point. Inflation, which is now at a 30% clip, it's just a really tough formula. And, so I think the one thing we need to think about, we're very, very fortunate. We all have a tendency to complain about how things could be better and things aren't working out. But imagine living through that. We remembered as kids living through the 70s, I believe, early 80s with very, very high interest rates. But that doesn't even compare to what is happening in Argentina right now.
So interesting when you look at Argentina, which they call like a socialist democracy. It's socialism. You look at Venezuela, 1,000,000% inflation. Socialism, again, if we're not being political and purely just being dispassionate and go by the numbers, socialism, not so good.
Doesn't
Chuck.
seem to work very well.
It's never worked anywhere.
So, if you take a look at how well things have been here in the U.S., it hasn't really bode well, in the emerging markets. If you look at the EM is referred to, now that might be the MSCI EFA. That might be the MSCI EFA emerging markets, I guess is the best way to put it. That index is down almost 7% year to date, but they've been struggling in the midst of a record-setting bull run we've had here in the U.S. And a lot of that, if you go back and look at the financial crisis that we had in 2007 and 8, events around the 9/11 attacks and Argentina debt crisis in 2001 and 2002. Now, if those sort of events, the EM, the emerging markets, did well. But, the recent events have centered around uncertainty over recent trade war and the crisis in Turkey and the failure of some EM central banks not proactively increasing interest rates. So I think it's something that while we always talk about having a diversified portfolio, we've always had an underweight, to emerging markets. Always felt they were fairly aggressive. They had a great year in 2017, and 2018, unfortunately, is not working out very well at this point in time.
Great analysis with Chuck Malamut. He is the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. Chuck, how important is the fourth quarter?
Well, I think a lot of us really don't pay much attention to the fourth quarter because we're obviously very concerned about year-end tax planning, third quarter earnings. But if you look at the 3 months, October, November, and December, they rank second, third, and fifth, respectively, with the highest average monthly performance of the S&P 500. And that has been sort of the key that we've seen over the last 25 years. Those 3 months have jointly are attributed basically a gain of a roughly 5% per year.
Wow.
Over the last 25 years, or over 50% of the total return of the S&P 500.
In other words, they make the year.
They oftentimes do make the year. And think about like we've talked about just a few minutes ago, that you have earnings, you have an election, and in the midst of it, you have a stock market, obviously. Yeah. So I think it's, I'm cautiously optimistic that stat's going to hold. And if that's the case, then you will have back-to-back, very, very good years, in the U.S. equity markets.
Chuck, what did you want to say about Medicare today?
Well, sadly, Harry, 62% of American seniors that are at least age 65 that file for bankruptcy, do so because they're overwhelmed by medical expenses. So as a result of the ongoing saga that we live through day in and day out, whether it's the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare or whatever you want to attribute it to, the fact of the matter is that think about this, like filing bankruptcy at age 65, I can't imagine even thinking about that. I mean, if you don't have your house in order, then what have you done financially over your entire lifetime? Obviously, you didn't save effectively, or you overspent, or a combination thereof. But imagine filing at that age. I mean, that to me, I just think the mental anguish that you go through to begin with, to think about filing, and then you do. But now on top of it, you're at the twilight of your years, I guess. Is that a nice way to put it? It's like in your maybe in the fourth quarter of a 5-quarter game. That doesn't make much sense, but you're in the third quarter of a fourth quarter game. How's that sound? But the bottom line is the fact is that I was astonished when I read that. This came from the graying of U.S. bankruptcy / fallout from a life in a risk society. So,
well, I look at it this way. We know baby boomers are already retiring. Younger baby boomers will be retiring, and it is a number that is not sustainable for any of the social programs, Social Security, Medicare. I mean, there are some big decisions that are going to have to be made in the next 10 years.
Oh yeah, so
just in time for us.
But the good news is, when you talk about
it's my life story. I swear.
I just rolled right through that, Harry.
That's just objective commentary. Sell the sneakers. Yeah, sell them now.
You might get you put them up on eBay.
Will Colin Kaepernick buy my 6 pairs of sneakers?
I doubt it.
All right, especially with the way they look, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, go ahead, Chuck.
So why don't we talk about creation of new jobs? And
yes.
I think this kind of bodes well with what you and Kirk had talked about earlier. 52% of the 2.4 million jobs that were created in the last 12 months were produced in just 6 states: Texas, California, which I find incredible, Florida, New York, which is also sort of a question mark, and North Carolina and Washington. So 6 states, created over half of those jobs that were out there. One of the 2.4 million, over 1.2 came from those 6 states, and I don't see New Jersey anywhere. New Jersey. I wish I had the entire lineup, because I would venture to say New Jersey would probably be ranked around 40th in all likelihood, because we are obviously, as Kirk mentioned, you got the brain drain, the money drain. I mean,
do you think the upcoming, which would be second in a short period of time, 23 cents and now another 4.3 cents per gallon on the gas tax, is that a big deal?
I don't know if it's necessarily a big deal. I think what it is the fact that it's just another tax, and it's just, you add them all up together.
You start looking, though. I mean, right now it's $2.79 for a regular unleaded gallon of gasoline. I know that varies from shop to shop, but that's about what it is. That's what I've seen over the last couple of days. You take basically 30 cents off of that. I mean, it's starting what was once the second lowest tax state in the union. We're now very high tax.
So kind of put in perspective, the average price at the pump ending this past Friday, nationally speaking, was $2.83. So what are we, 4 cents below that right now? A year ago, we were actually at $2.40, and this past December we were at $2.47. But you think about where we were 18 months ago, there was a pretty big spread, in our favor. Pump gas in New Jersey versus Pennsylvania and New York. Now all of a sudden, it's not so advantageous, and the fact is that it's 4 cents a gallon. 4.3. So you add that right in, then we're right at the average. So what have we accomplished in 2+ years? We've increased
we're
our
right with the average. But of course, you could look at it this way: we could be 30 cents or thereabouts per gallon less expensive.
Yeah, but that would mean the government would really have to be effective in what they do.
And they keep saying we need it to fix bridges and fix roads, but they keep needing more and more
but
and more.
You think about the New Jersey Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway and the George Washington Bridge and the Walt Whitman Bridge and the Commodore Barry Bridge and the Tacony Palmyra Bridge. I mean, and I'm sure I missed a couple. The Betsy Ross Bridge. I mean, these were not free. So where does that money obviously is going towards road improvement, and all the non-funded roads we'll call. This is where the gas tax comes in. But I think, Harry, as we've said it before, and we'll say it again, if government ran the way, if you ran your P&L like the government, you would be out of business.
Correct.
Whether it's on a state or federal level. I mean, I will tell you that I am truly impressed with Denny Levinson. I find it amazing that the county can run as efficiently as they do, with everything that they're surrounded by.
But it shows you, though, when you have a culture from Dick Squires to Denny Levinson, and you add up their years of service, and it's measured in decades. And I want to give Kirk his credit where credit's due. When he was the chairman of the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders and a member of the board for a long time, when you have a philosophy that you care about the taxpayer and you want to keep the taxes down, now, to be fair, it doesn't run exactly like a business would, because you do have some of the idiosyncrasies of politics and collective bargaining units and contracts and different things that come into play, that if it was a total private entity, you could even do better. But as government goes, it's as close as anything I've ever seen to run like a business.
The fact of the matter is, when you take states like Texas and Florida, I mean, those are two that I can think of where it is obviously a lot less expensive.
Did you also know, Chuck, that the Texas legislature almost never meets?
They meet like twice a year, I think. But
so there's no time to do all this crazy stuff that these people do.
And I was talking with a politician not too long ago, and what I was told is the schools in Florida are just awful compared to the schools in New Jersey. Florida's done just an absolute terrible job educating K through 12. In the meantime, we have a robust, well-run school system, and that's where the majority of our property taxes go to. And I looked at that person, and their comment to me was, and I didn't say anything. I just was sort of dumbfounded. They said to me, "You don't believe me, do you?" I said, "Well, I'm not sure to believe you or not believe you because I really haven't done the research. But if you're going to tie that property tax to education in the state of New Jersey and that's the best you can do, then I think you have you really have a problem here." And you're going to get the brain drain, the money drain, as Kirk alluded to before. It's going to continue. I mean, why would you not want to go to a state that is tax friendly and you have better, there's nothing better than the summer here on the Jersey Shore, but that's 3 or 4 months. And then it's not such a great place to be in January, February. There's no doubt about it. I mean, North South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Nevada, Arizona. I mean, why would you not want to be in those locations, Harry?
You couldn't defeat that logic because it makes perfect sense. Let's get in. I know you're on overtime already. Let's get in the rest of your agenda. Greece.
So we talked about
why does Greece matter?
We talked about Greece the other day. If you think about Turkey got on the map and got off very, very quickly. Almost 50% of the outstanding loans right now made by Greek banks are defined as non-performing. And that includes mortgage loans, that includes commercial loans, it includes construction loans. And non-performing typically indicates that no principal and interest payments have been made on a loan for at least 90 days. So you think about they've been through 3 rounds of bailouts, and they still have half of the debt out there is non-performing. And in spite of it, I mean, it's a wonderful place to vacation. But it's just I don't think it's a really great place to live at this point in time because of all the financial crisis within that country. Now, the good news is let's kind of roll that into what's happening here in the U.S. with respect to home mortgages. And the good news is that right now, the stats have come down very, very favorably. Only 1 out of 23 home mortgages, that's about 4%. Was at least one payment past due, and that was through the second quarter of this year. You kind of do a rollback, and you look where we were at the second quarter of 2010, which is like right at the end of the financial crisis. And, all the loans, you had the zombie homes, you had, people living for free. We were 1 out of 10 at that point in time. So almost 10% of home mortgages were delinquent. Now we've gotten that down to less than 5%. Which conversely looks at home prices, the rising value of homes. I mean, if you go back a year, the average home prices in all states, including New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if obviously North versus South Jersey, home prices have increased.
Yes,
Nevada was the number one state with average home prices up 17% year over year.
And they were hurt big time.
They were, you think about it, we kind of sat back and not, I don't say we kind of grinned, we smiled ear to ear, look and say, well, this is, look at New Jersey, but the way the laws were written, it took that much longer to get through the pipeline. Nevada came out, Florida came out, and as a result, we were kind of left standing at the starting gate, and then New Jersey, took a hit.
Chuck, I didn't see this one coming. You have actually a Ponzi scheme update.
Yeah, well, that's not. So you think about everything that happened with Bernie Madoff. He has been in federal prison in North Carolina for 9 years. So he began serving in July.
Is he going to spend the rest of his life in prison?
Well, I don't know, Harry, but he's 80 years old. He's scheduled to be released in 121 years.
Yeah.
So that would be 2039. So unless he is the oldest,
he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison.
So he needs to live over 200 to. He's not going to. He's there for life. His life, I should say.
So I mean, look, he ruined people. He crushed people. He deserves the sentence. But what I found about our system is much more serious about financial crime than it is about violent crime or drug trafficking. You get more time for being a Bernie Madoff than you would if you killed somebody.
I'm not I'm not so certain about that, but I do know that what he did, he ruined the lives of
no question
thousands of people.
It's terrible.
And for a long period of time this went on for. I mean,
and when you add the counts up, I mean, that's where you get the years.
Exactly. So I guess he's not going to outlive his prison term in all likelihood. But I just thought I wanted to pass that on to you. I think that's it. Look, it's been an interesting week. We're in a short week. It's hard to, I said to Pam yesterday, I said, oh my goodness, I have to get ready. Harry's show is tomorrow.
But it felt like Monday, right?
It absolutely did, yeah.
I know. Chuck Malamut for all of your financial planning needs, 609-383-2010. Great show, Chuck.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you, buddy. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. It's the World's Playground, WPG. I'm Hurley in the Morning.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger.
I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update. From how to be safe and prepared in an emergency to how to take care of your pet, the American Red Cross has a suite of apps for your mobile device that include a wide range of helpful information. One of my favorites is the First Aid app. It is a free and simple way to get life-saving first aid instruction anytime, anywhere. Features include step-by-step instructions, videos and animations for first aid scenarios, a 911 call button and hospital locator, as well as safety and preparedness tips for a range of conditions, including severe weather and disasters. Be prepared and download the free Red Cross First Aid app today. It could save a life. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger. Call 1-888-569-1000 or visit Atlanticare.org.
Are your credit cards out of control? Owe more than $10,000? Are you paying one card and delaying payment on another? Here's what's really happening here. Your credit card companies are shaking your hand while stabbing you in the back. They want you overextended. Even worse, they hope you think you have to pay it all back. Credit card companies have finally been exposed. There are steps you can take to become debt-free, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $1 billion of debt. They're regulated by both federal and state agencies, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and have over 25,000 5-star reviews across accredited review sites. Do not take out a consolidation loan. Do not declare bankruptcy. Settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Call now. 800-312-9946. 800-312-9946. 800-312-9946.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me next at 10, then Sean Hannity at 3. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio, 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
2-minute drill. It's Hurley in the Morning. Chuck Malamut is packing up. Kirk, see you, my buddy. Take care. Say hello to John Millman when you see him. Kirk and I don't get a good night's sleep again until at least tonight because of John Millman. It's all on him. Here's what we're going to do. More of your phone calls the rest of the way as soon as we come back from the top of the hour break. Anything that you'd want to talk about. If you heard my opening comments this morning, this is the week of Kavanaugh. This is the week of horrible Democrat speeches. This is the week of attacking Judge Brett Kavanaugh, this man that has the perfect, well-qualified rating from the American Bar Association, a person that if you took politics out of it, I mean, think about it. 1993, Ruth Bader Ginsburg took the position about no previews. You don't get to hear anything in advance. And she was confirmed 96-3. Here we have an incredibly qualified 12-year jurist on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, one court below the Supreme Court, at least 13 decisions that he has made in his career upheld by the United States Supreme Court. He is absolutely in the mainstream of jurisprudence. He's respected. He was confirmed something crazy like 99-0 or something very close to that number. And now it's, can we stop him from getting 50? Democrats who said they weren't even going to meet with him but voting no. And I'll tell you what, thank goodness we have elections. Because scaredy cats like Heidi Heitkamp and Manchin and some of these other ones, my prediction is anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 even Democrats will vote for Kavanaugh, which means I don't think we're going to have to worry about Goofy, Murkowski, and Collins this time. But get ready. The speeches are going to be horrible. These Democrats who think they're going to be the next president will be horrible. But just remember, a few bad days of listening to their garbage for 30 great years.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Your calls are next.
Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court job interview is about to start. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is someone who is born for this position. This is somebody who's going to be confirmed.
Republican Senator Mike Lee is on the Judiciary Committee, which will question the Supreme Court nominee the next several days.
We've got far more paperwork than has ever been produced in connection with any Supreme Court nominee ever in our history.
But Democrats keep demanding documents from when Kavanaugh was Bush administration staff secretary.